Today we'll be applying CSS styling to a basic application. You should have downloaded Login Demo available on the website. If you open this up in Xcode, you'll see there's a library at the top, a storyboard, @delegate and view controller. If you look in the storyboard, you'll see it's a very basic application. Native CSS is applied in the @delegate. If you look in the implementation, you'll see there is already some sample code provided. Let's remove this default implementation and replace it with something simpler. The code copied from the website accesses a local CSS file. In Finder, this location is equivalent to your hard drive, library, web server documents, and putting a file in here. You'll need administrator permissions to be able to write to this area. But I assume you are familiar with creating a local file, accessible via a URL. So first things first, let's copy over a very basic bit of CSS and see if it runs in the app. Start the application. And you'll see a sudden change. The screen was white and it went grey. That's because the CSS we've applied sets it to a grey colour. Let's change the colour around here a little bit more just to understand what's going on. Let's set it to a very light grey, and the app will update by itself. This is live updating and it will save you lots of time developing. Now let's introduce the style guide. And you can see labels have been attached to the views themselves. These labels are defined in your storyboard. So you should find them familiar. Making iOS apps generally involves tying the views to names which the code references. We can use these as part of the CSS styling. You may be wondering why we have such complicated CSS here. This refers to the main view, the main window, its children views, and its grandchildren. Only these have the style guide applied. If we were to apply them to all views, you would see why we have such complicated CSS. The view has updated. This is quite confusing because Apple has lots of subviews which we don't typically want to style. Let's return the style guide to what we had originally. I am initially hiding all the views and re-showing them. In CSS, styles are remembered in the view itself. If you change a rule, you have to reset all the rules you've previously set. Here we can see all the names again, and we can use these to make new CSS. I've pasted this in from the website. We can use the style guide names to become CSS selectors. Everything on the right corresponds to some new CSS rules on the left. As you can see, we're going to ignore the text field and buttons for the time being and set a background colour on the main view. Let's apply the styling to the view. And you can see the view is updated with the background colour for both the two views and login button active state. Let's use what we've learned to apply a more interesting style. I'm going to remove all the stuff we've applied previously, except for the reset rule, and apply it to the view. Now, we have styled our login form to look like Facebook. We've done this using all the CSS selectors we identified before. From top to bottom, this involves setting a background colour for the main view, having a background view and setting its position. CSS by default repeats background, so we don't want that to happen. We've also moved this view and applied some basic styling to the input views. The cancel button has been hidden, and the login button has been made wider, and the font has been changed. We've also added a drop shadow. As you see at the bottom, we've also applied an active state for the button. Now let's restart the application. If you notice, this is the first time we've had to restart the application. Restarting your application is bad because it takes lots of time. Now, you would have seen that flash at the beginning. Let's play that back. The old styling was shown for a quick flash. This is because the CSS here is fetched remotely on a background thread, and so it isn't applied immediately. We need to change this before we can release to customers. Let's consider our startup code. The view starts from here, it then fetches the CSS and then calls this method when it is ready. What we want is to put a wait view here so the unstyled view is not visible. After the CSS has been downloaded, let's hide the wait view. Let's restart the app and see if we've fixed the problem. Perfect. No flash of the old style. That's it for today's introductory tutorial. Thank you.